What is up, loyal lads and ladies? My name is Midnight Wolf, and welcome to another episode of the Wolf on the Field show. In today's episode, we are going to be previewing Oklahoma versus Cincinnati. So, we're finally here. We're finally at Big 12 conference play. Now, I know there was a Big 12 conference game last week between TCU and Houston. But as far as Oklahoma is concerned, this is it. This is our final Big 12 opener, and hopefully it's a doozy. Hopefully it's one that we can go in and be something to be fearful of. I'm really excited about this. I think that if OU comes and plays the way that they've been, this game should not be a problem for Oklahoma. I think that this is going to be a true test. You know, there's like a small amount of hype building towards Oklahoma following the first three games. This is where the test begins. This is where everybody is going to start really truly critiquing how good Oklahoma is. So we've got to do everything we can to convince people that we are a solid playoff contending football team. I know it's just Cincinnati. I know they just dropped a game against Miami, Ohio. But I have some things to say about that here just a little bit. But yeah, like Oklahoma is looking great. They handled Arkansas State very well. They struggled against SMU, but then you look at how SMU has been doing, and they've been killing it in their games just as well. So I think SMU is a pretty solid football team in their league. So and also too, we do know that Lebby was playing very conservative calls. So we know that is something that we were kind of intentionally had our hands tied behind our backs in that game. Then we also had an outstanding performance against Tulsa. And if that is the team that we have, if that is any indicator of the team that we have, we should be able to handle Cincinnati very well. That being said, there are some very key things that I wanted to talk about in this, mainly on the Cincinnati side of the ball. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've watched every down of their games. I have not done that, but I have watched a few highlight videos of their performance in their opening three games, and there is a glaring issue that I saw in just about all three of those highlights. And it has to do with Cincinnati's ability to punch a red zone conversion into a touchdown. They seem to be struggling in the red zone quite a bit, and they're having to settle for field goals. So I think the key here for Oklahoma to really dominate Cincinnati is do not give up chunk plays that result in touchdowns. Don't allow a big chunk play be thrown or ran 50 yards for a touchdown. If you do have a chunk play, do everything in your power to stop them from getting into the end zone, because if you can at least get them in the red zone, I think your chances of getting them to have to or force a field goal, I think, skyrockets. So if we can see that in this game, I think that Oklahoma will handle Cincinnati pretty well, at least on the defensive side of the ball. Now, people are saying that Cincinnati's defensive line could give Oklahoma problems, but I feel like that's if Lebby calls a conservative game again, like he did against SMU, that could be an issue, because if he's trying to establish a run game and if it's not there, that is one concern that I have. So hopefully he can kind of figure things out and, go after our strengths and not necessarily try to force anything. That's what it felt like against SMU. Like we were trying to establish a run game and it just wasn't there. That could be a very similar situation against Cincinnati. And if that's the case, I hope that he's willing to shift gears and just go after our strengths, throw the ball, even if it's small little screen passes here and there. As long as we're getting positive yardage, that's like averaging 3 yards a play, it doesn't matter because then you can eventually punch it in for a touchdown. So that is something that I definitely hope to see is like, if the run game is not there, don't try to force it. Dillon Gabriel, you've been doing great so far, so just keep it up. And if you get into problems, do not panic. Do everything that you've been practicing up to this point, and you've been doing excellent at looking comfortable in the pocket. So offensive line, keep doing what you've been doing. You haven't been you really haven't been elite offensive line, but you've been pretty good. Keep that up and continue to grow and get better, and great things will happen in this game. So I have a lot of confidence in the Oklahoma Sooners. I'm a little late to the preview game. In terms of this video, I had some things going on this week that kind of pushed this video to like the last second. But I mean, we still have a couple hours left, or an hour and a half or so until kickoff. But yeah, I just had a couple things that I wanted to get off my chest about that, and really, that's really all I have to say. Is like, if we can, if Cincinnati makes it to the red zone, if we can just stand our ground like other teams have been doing against Cincinnati, I think we'll be all right. If we give up chunk plays that result in touchdowns, that is where the concern might be, because that was one thing about them that is pretty solid against like Pittsburgh and even Miami, Ohio, is they did have really good chunk plays. And if you can keep those chunk plays to a minimum, and if they do get a chunk play, keep them from getting in the end zone, I think you will handle this team exceptionally well. So all that to say, my prediction for OU versus Cincinnati, and I mean, this is kind of probably going to be a crazy thing, but hopefully I'm proven right, at least in terms of the win margin. I think it's going to be 56-9. I think that if this Oklahoma team, if they've shown us anything in the off season, in the non-conference games, is they know how to score the football. They know how to get in the end zone. And if we see that team today, I think that we can easily score 50 something plus points. So that's kind of why I think that is a solid prediction there. Then you also have the defensive side. Like I said earlier, I think that if we can keep Cincinnati from getting those chunk plays, we're going to hold them to field goals. And so that is why I think that we could very well easily hold them out of the end zone, and they will have to settle for 3 field goals. So that is my prediction. I'm hoping I'm right. I'm hoping I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid with this Oklahoma team. I'm starting to get more hyped about this team, and I really look forward to seeing if that hype is actually significant. And if that's the case, Sooners, continue to do what you're doing. Please do not let up in any game, even against Iowa State. They look like they're trash this year. Don't let up. Obviously, don't look too far ahead. Don't look ahead to any of the games. But whenever the time comes, when you play teams like Iowa State or even OSU, it's not doing too great this year. Don't let up. If the first 3 games are an indicator of what Oklahoma could be this year. I know what happened last year. I know, that happened where we looked like this team, and then we fell flat in conference play, but we did have a lot of close losses at least. So if we can turn those close losses into wins, we could have easily been a 10-2, 11-1 team last year. So I think that is our floor this year. And so if we could just go and do what we need to do, I think we'll be all right. So please don't give in to any kind of hype. If you win this game pretty convincingly and get highly ranked in the rankings, don't pay attention to that. Don't pay attention to what the media is saying about you. Just keep doing what you're doing, and we might have something very special. So that's all I have to say. I will have a follow-up video later on today following the game, and because I'm going to be watching it at home, this will be the first game that I'm watching at home, and so I will be able to do it pretty much right after the game. So I mean, I might watch a little bit of other games that are surrounding ours for a little bit, but I will definitely come and do a video pretty soon after the game. So be